We need to stop normalizing women getting an education.
And he's the first one looking for a female doctor for his pregnant wife.
So this Muslim brother came online to complain about the fact that Muslim women are becoming educated. And I find it funny because there are actually Muslim countries where these laws are being enforced, where women are being denied education. But do you think this man is living in any such country? No, this man is living in the West. He's living in a country where he's allowed to enjoy freedoms. But this same man do not want women to enjoy that same freedom. He wants women to be restricted, to be denied education, to be denied their freedoms, their rights. And he does all of this under the cover of doing it to protect Muslim marriages and Muslim families and Muslim communities. Because to him, educated women is somehow in opposition to these things. Let's get right into the video.
We need to stop normalizing women getting an education. Education is literally ruining our sisters. Most of them don't even know how to run a household. Most of them aren't marriage material.
Men like this like to say, oh, we need to stop making sure that women can go to school, that they get an education, they should be homemakers and nothing else, while completely ignoring that there is already a country where that is the case. And I should know because that is where I am ethnically from. Interestingly enough, the women there are not very happy about their education being taken away. They don't feel fulfilled in their feminine role. They don't feel grateful for being able to be at home to take care of the kids and do nothing else but that. For almost 3 years now, women in Afghanistan are living that reality. So my guy, while you are making up these fake scenarios, let's talk about the reality of women who actually go through that, and surprise, surprise, it does not benefit them but men like you who control them in the system. The self-unaliving rates, especially when it comes to women, have risen. You only get education until 6th grade, nothing afterwards. You have girls saying that it is a curse to be born as a girl because they have no future, they have no education, they have no life. They want to go to university, they want to become doctors, which is also a weird thing. Because in your video, you say that we don't need more people becoming doctors. Disgusting. I have heard many things, but I have never heard anybody say disgusting after talking about somebody becoming a doctor. An occupation where your main focus is to save human lives. And you say disgusting right afterwards? I genuinely want every single doctor in his life, male or female, to refuse to treat him after you get sick the next time and simply say, ugh, disgusting. Anyways, let's get back to Afghanistan, the country where his fantasy became reality. When you take away education for women and you take away their future, the only thing you have is control over their lives, their livelihoods, because they are nothing without you. And then of course you don't think about all the women who don't even have men in their lives to even take care of them. Education is not ruining your sisters, it's men like you. Want to be influencers who get their livelihood by marketing their bodies, but then shaming women for literally getting degrees? I'm gonna tell you a little secret. If a woman gets a degree and she does not want to be with you, it is not that degree's fault, it is your fault. If the only women who are willing to spend their lives with you and to cater to you are women who are naive and uneducated, that does not show that you are a good Muslim or good man or good anything. Also, he expects women to, stay at home, to only take care of the children, to clean the house, to take care of them while they are the ones at work. But they don't think about the fact that in this economy, for most people, that is not possible. Most Muslim, Middle Eastern, Central Asian families, whatever you want to call them, have more than one kid. I would say most families that I know have like 3 to 4 kids. There are not many people who are able to take care of 5 to 6 people with one income. That is not the reality of our economy. And of course, if you take care of those kids, you don't just want to, go by with a bare minimum. You want to be able to send them to sports. You want to be able to treat them a little, go on a vacation every few years. Maybe do something with your wife where you treat her, get her things that she might want or need, not just things that are essential. Then you of course also have to save for your retirement because most countries don't have good retirement funds for the elderly. If this influencer lifestyle is going great for you, you do you, and that's amazing. But that is not the reality for most average normal income families. You guys want stay-at-home moms and stay-at-home wives, but then you cannot afford to give them the life that a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home wife deserves. I'm currently in law school and I work at a family law firm. And as somebody who is in that position, I will tell you one thing. I will tell Muslim women one thing. When you get married to these men, make sure you don't just get an Islamic marriage, especially when you're in the West and you live in a country where that marriage is not viewed as an actual marriage. Because that is also something I hear a lot of these dude bros say. You don't need these Western papers. As long as you have God's blessings, you don't need anything else. Meh, wrong. Once he leaves you for another woman, once things break apart, and once he has enough of you, God's blessings will not get you anything. In the eyes of the state, you're basically girlfriend and boyfriend. You will get no privileges. I have seen it time and time again, women coming into our law firm being like, I have been married to this man for 15, 20 years, and we're like, okay, where are the marriage papers? And they're like, oh, we just had a nikah. We were not legally married. I'm like, I'm sorry, I cannot help you that much. You can get child support if you have a kid, but for you and your expenses, you can basically get nothing. These men love to say Islamic rights left, right, and center until it's time to leave a woman. So please, as somebody who has to deal with a lot of these cases, and I genuinely just want the best for you, make sure you get married legally. Get your nikah, do whatever you want, but also get a marriage certificate in whatever country you are. And you know what? Better yet, a prenup. If one thing working in a law firm has shown me is always get a prenup. Having an education is a safety net for a woman, and it also helps women get out of dangerous situations. I have had to deal with women who stayed with abusive partners for a very long time because when they were young, those husbands told them, you don't need an education, I'm always going to take care of you. Just depend on me. So they stopped all of their aspirations. They became those housewives, those mothers that you want. And now you leave them high and dry. You can also be a housewife and have an education. That is something that can then help you if anything goes wrong. I also saw another video of a woman talking about how she is a widow. If she would not have had that education, she would be on the streets with her children. Her husband was perfect. He took care of her. He took care of her kids, but he unfortunately passed away. Those are things that just happen. And if you would actually care about those so-called sisters you're talking about, people you're supposed to care about, you would think of all of these things, but you only care and think about yourself.
Is it any surprise that these Muslim men, even though they are in the West enjoying education and freedoms, do not want their women to be educated? I mean, if a woman is educated, she will clearly know that a nikah is not a marriage. A nikah is just something that you do, and it is not recognized by the law. If a woman is educated, she will know what needs to be done in order to protect her interest in a marriage. And these men do not want that. They would rather keep these Muslim women uneducated and ignorant so that they can more easily take advantage of them.
The hardest thing parents can do for their daughter is send them to university. You're going to send your daughter to a place where there is so much fitna for her to get a degree for a job that she doesn't like, to work for a boss who will fire her in an instant. You're going to do all this just so she can become educated.
This is the Muslim men on the podcast thing, I swear to God, bro. This is how Muslim guys think when they hop on a podcast. This dude definitely saw my Suhoor Fest video and thought he was me. It's all just literally based on how you were raised, you know, your morals, your intentions. In today's world, if a woman wants to, then she can pursue it. What's wrong with that, bro? You guys gotta understand, bro, in today's time, bro, men are not good providers, right? Men are slowly becoming feminine, weak, and they're just becoming lazier and they're not the best providers, bro. Now, here's the problem with one thing he said, right? So, if he's saying that women should not work at all, right, then who's going to be the doctors, right? Who's going to be the nurses? Who's going to, you know, would you want your daughter to go to a male doctor or a female, right? I think you guys would want your daughter to go to a female. Yo, and imagine this woman ends up with like a goofy man and he's like abusive in the relationship and stuff like that. You know, obviously a divorce happens and stuff like that. And what does she have left? You know, she needs that, like, you know, she needs some sort of a degree, right, to, you know, protect herself. So she's not like fully financially dependent on him. You know what I mean? This guy right here, you know, keep doing your thing, bro, but like, let's not go a little too far. You know what I'm saying? Let's not be disrespectful towards women, you know?
Oh my God, I cannot help but laugh at the first man, because what does it mean you are going to send your daughter to school so that she can get a job that she does not like? As if most of these parents are not planning to wear their daughters to men that they don't like in arranged marriages. And then he said the daughters will have to work for a boss that can just fire them at any time. Do you understand how divorce in Islam work? Unlike the woman that have to go through all these hurdles and challenges in order to get her divorce, a man can simply tell his wife, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you. Boom! And the divorce is done. At least with your job, your boss will need to go through HR first before he divorces you. That man can just divorce you whether there are witnesses or not, as long as he say those 3 words, I divorce you, 3 times. And for anybody that wants to come under the comment section to argue with me, let me remind you, I do come from a Muslim background, and I do know what I'm talking about.
Parents can do for their daughter is send them to university. You're going to send your daughter to a place where there is so much fitna for her to get a degree for a job that she doesn't like, to work for a boss who will fire her in an instant. You're going to do all this just so she can become educated.
Why do men fear an educated woman so much? It's actually hilarious to me because in this day and age where men are now saying that they don't want to pay for all the bills and rent, etc., and they want to go 50-50, how are you going to go 50-50 with an unemployed woman who's not got an education? We can't rely on men anymore, and that is just a fact because they've proved it to us countless times by saying, why should we provide this? Why should we give that? No, I want to do 50-50. Does it not occur to people like him that say if a woman didn't get an education, she didn't have a career, she gets married straight away. If she then gets divorced or left or cheated on whatever, she will then have to either stay in that marriage in an abusive, toxic relationship, or if she leaves, then she's basically penniless and jobless. In the Quran and Hadith, there is so much evidence on not only Islam permitting women to get an education, but also encouraging it. For example, Ashifa bint Abdullah was skilled in medicine and writing, and the Prophet ﷺ allowed her to teach Sayyidah Hafsa those skills. The Prophet ﷺ also said that anyone who seeks a path to knowledge, Allah will make a path to Jannah for them. And this doesn't specify just deen-based knowledge. Also, if remixing is haram for both men and women, why does everyone only have a focus on the women?
We need to stop normalizing women getting an education. Education is literally ruining our sisters. Most of them don't even know how to run a household. Most of them aren't marriage material. Most of them are becoming the men that they want to marry. They go, they study to become a doctor or a lawyer or this, that, and the other, and then
stand against the issue of women having equal right with men in the home. And women must be submissive. It never used to happen like that. The only reason why we have a feminist, we have a woman activists, is because they have acquired education.
So would you rather they just stayed at home, weren't educated? Like
That's the role of a woman. They have to be home. They have to take care of the house, the home, the house activities. That's it. That's tradition. That's our culture. Why is that you adapt the other culture?
Okay, so quick question. I'm a woman here who's doing this job of asking questions and moderating. I would say I'm independent. Does that bother you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
India is home to the largest number of child brides anywhere in the world. And the women can end up paying a hefty price for this premature loss of their childhood.
A girl who's allowed to finish her high school education is likely to marry at least 5 years later than a girl who didn't.
You know, whenever I see black men, Muslim men, men from Africa, India, other countries that were previously colonized, spewing such hatred towards their women, it always boggled my mind because in my head, I used to imagine that because these men were previously colonized, enslaved, oppressed, that they will understand easier what women are going through. They will understand women's oppression easier. They can easily empathize with us because they have similar experiences. But to my greatest shock, I see that these men are even, a lot of the times, they are more misogynistic than white men. The white men that are oppressing not just them, but everybody. And it just boggles my mind always because in my head, I'm like, oh, you should be able to empathize more since you have similar experiences. But I am always shocked that these men from these communities that are oppressed, that are marginalized, these men are the most misogynistic men on earth. I am telling you. And now that I think of it, I remember something that my mom used to tell me, and she always told me that a man who is broke / oppressed outside and is being oppressed by his fellow men out there never gets with such a man because that man is going to be the most abusive man in the home because he is not able to express his masculinity outside and is being oppressed by his fellow man outside. So in order to express that his masculine ego, his masculine rage, he is going to come inside the house and double it up on you. Every oppression that he faced outside is going to come in and double it up on you. He's going to pour out all his frustration on you in the home. And now I get it because these men are being oppressed. I'm not going to lie. These men, a lot of these men in these communities, they are facing Islamophobia, they are facing racism, they are facing their own battles. But instead of standing up to fight their own oppressors, they come back home and fight the women in their communities. They come back home to oppress the women in their own communities.
I find it really crazy how some second-gen immigrants are literally saying that they're going to deny their daughters education. They're going to deny letting their daughters go to university because of how certain people act. If you have full faith in how you raised your future child, then why are you not letting your child go to uni? Like, what's the point of coming to another country if you're just going to adopt the negative mentality of the country that you've moved from? You might as well just go back, because it's really sad to see. Like, I know there are so many different kind of pathways, but why would you restrict your child from going, like, pursuing higher education simply because of like fears of them doing certain things. Like, it just shows how corrupt your mind is.
We need to stop normalizing women getting an education. Education is literally ruining our sisters. Most of them don't even know how to run a house.
Okay, hear me out. I've got a good idea, right? I think we need to stop normalizing men speaking. Is this man going to forget that the first ever university was founded by a woman? Is this man going to forget the fact that the Prophet ﷺ said that seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim? Every Muslim, not just men. Is he going to forget that Aisha was one of the greatest scholars of the Hadith and Islamic law? Is he going to forget that in Surah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, read in the name of your Lord who created? This was one of the first revelations made to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and it commands all believers to learn. So again, not just men. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, it's because of the free mixing and all the fitna and like mixed schools and universities, blah, blah, blah. Then it makes no sense to single out women. Is it not ruining our brothers as well? If no women ever studied, that means that no women would ever become like doctors, GPs, surgeons, midwives, which means that when your future wife goes to go get like checked up or whatever it is, she'd be seen and treated by a male doctor. Like, are you comfortable with that? Pick a side. Scariest thing was the fact that that original video had like nearly 160,000 likes. Like 160,000 people agree with him. That's why this type of BS is so damaging, because I know younger Muslim guys will see this and be influenced by it. He's got absolutely no Islamic backing behind what he's saying.
A 17, 18 and 23-year-old Muslim girl rejects a decent brother coming to ask for her hand in marriage because her family wants her to finish uni. Finish uni, they all tell her. So you can have something to fall back on in case something goes wrong. Fall back on in case she gets divorced.
I feel like this topic hits very close to home. This is why I'm going to offer this advice for the young Muslim woman. I'm going to assume the worst case scenario here. The worst case scenario is that your husband, God forbid, is financially abusive, physically and mentally abusive. If you don't have a financial income of your own, if you don't have degrees to fall back on when things don't go right, you are forced to stay in vulnerable situations that will put you and your kids at risk. And I have seen this happen with a friend of mine where she had to stay in an abusive relationship because she couldn't support her family. And it's not a situation you want to be in. So I'm going to assume this is the worst case scenario. And the best case scenario of why you should always get a degree, even if you don't want to work, but I do not encourage that. I do encourage that you have some sort of financial income on your own, is that God forbid you have the most amazing husband in the world, but God forbid he can't work anymore or he's no longer on this planet. What are you going to do? Not all families can support their daughters and their grandkids in that capacity because not all are able to financially. So it's going to be on you. You're the mother. You have to take care of the family. So without a backup plan, what are you going to do? This is my advice to all the younger women. Do not listen to this man. Men like this try to control women financially, and it is one of the worst forms of abuse, and it makes you stay in situations that you should not be in. So please listen to me from someone who has 2 degrees and is married. It is always good to have a backup plan.
Okay, ladies, I want you to listen up and understand this well, because one mistake I always see women making whenever things like this is being discussed is that we roll out our points and our reasons for why women should be allowed, whether it is education, employment, or financial independence for men. And the point we always keep on mentioning is how these women will struggle and suffer if they are denied these things, and how these women will be trapped in undesirable and abusive situations and marriages if these women do not have a way out. And we tell these men this thing thinking that they are going to think, oh, these women are going to suffer. So because we don't want them to suffer, we should allow them education, employment, independence for men. No, these men are not thinking like that. These men are thinking that, yes, that is the result we want. We want these women to be trapped. So why will we give you these things? When you tell these men, oh, I want my education and my own money so that in case a man is abusive to me, or if that man decides to divorce me, I would be able to financially sustain myself by myself without him. These men do not want that. These men are the ones that are abusing you. These men are the ones that are just divorcing you, leaving you high and dry. Why do you think they want you to have a way out of the misery they are creating for you? On the contrary, these men are listening to all these points you are making and they are thinking in their head, yes, that's what we want. We want you to be trapped when we abuse you. We don't want you to have an escape route when we abuse you. So you telling us that education will give you an escape route, why would they want that? Why do you think a man will want that? Why do you think a predator will be okay with facilitating the escape of his prey? Why do you think a predator will be concerned with his prey's struggles and misery? Because that is what we are to them. We are prey. Thanks for staying to the end of the video. Remember to give it a thumbs up if you found it interesting and subscribe to the channel to support me. Also, don't forget to check out the videos in the playlist right here. Bye.